Hello, hello, kitty cats, and welcome back to another episode of Tales and Tassels, the show where you learn about the lives of burlesque and nightlife performers, their craft, their cats, how the two worlds collide. I'm your host, Gemma Smith. By day, I work in animal welfare, and by night, I produce the Catbaret, New York City's cat-themed variety show. If you're listening to this episode today, Thursday, October 30th, well, you're in luck. We've got Catbaret presents Meowloween tomorrow night here in New York City and also on live stream. Live stream tickets are only $10. You can find all the info in the show notes. Would love to have you join our community of cat lovers. Kitty cats, I'm so excited to kick off our first interview of season 2 today. Today's guest is Luna Lovelee, a Long Beach-based burlesque performer, costumer, and producer of Show Me Your Kitties Cabaret. Yes, you heard that right. It's the Catbaret on the West Coast. We talk all about Luna's journey into burlesque, her love of costuming, and what it's like producing shows alongside a community of showgirls who, of course, all seem to have cats. Luna also shares the incredible meowsing story of rescuing a kitten trapped inside a car. And this experience connected her with Little Lion Foundation, so you're going to learn more about that. We chatted all about how she started producing benefit shows that save feline lives. Plus, you get to learn all about her 4 cats, as well as learn about her experience as a kitten foster. This was so fun to connect with her, and I'm really excited for you to hear our chat. So let's get into the episode. Thank you so much for being here today, Luna. I'm really excited to chat with you and learn more about you.
Thank you so much for having me. I have been really looking forward to this.
Me too, ever since we connected on social media a while back and I said, show me your Kitties Cabaret. Oh my goodness, the show in California. And I was just drawn in by your social media presence, and then getting to meet you at CatCon, even so briefly, was awesome. And so today I would really love to kick it off by learning more about your background and journey into burlesque. How did you get started?
Of course. So I moved to California, I want to say in like 2018-ish, which feels like it's not that long ago, but it's almost 10 years ago, which blows my mind. And I'd always been interested in doing burlesque, but never took a dance class as an adult, never did any of that. But the job I got down here in California, it was right next to this dance studio that's now sadly closed. It did not survive the pandemic. But it was called Dance Line LA, and right when I started, they offered a brand new class, which was burlesque. And I was like, you know what? I'm just starting this job. This dance studio is right next to my job. This is the universe saying, just go for it. Just do it. And so I took my first dance class, and I've been hooked ever since. And I started off so casually. Before the pandemic, I didn't even have a performer name. I didn't put anything on social media. I just kept it so low key. You know, my grandma follows me, my dad follows me, and I was still so, oh no, what are they going to think? But then, 2020 came around, and I thought, that glittery part of my life was just done. I really did. I was like, okay, this is it. This was a fun 2 years. But then in 2022, I went and saw Dita on New Year's Eve here in LA, and I was like, she's, what, in her 40s, 50s maybe, and just absolutely rocking it. Like, this is, again, the universe saying, please go for it. And that's when I adopted a stage name, really started having a dedicated social media presence, started taking classes again, and I still can't believe that I am where I am now. I'm so grateful.
I know. I follow you on Instagram and I see you're performing all the time. And so that really shows you didn't have to grow up dancing. You don't have to already be a dancer. You can start at any time, just like you did. And then it took just a few years and you're performing pretty regularly.
Yeah, and I always say that you could hold a gun to my head and I could not give you a clean jazz pirouette. Even
Same.
So I love technical dancers. I love watching technical performers, but you don't have to, need to do a perfect chassé pirouette combo to be a great performer. So that's just kind of my message is anyone can do burlesque. You just need to have the drive.
I completely agree with you. What I love about it is that everyone has something special that they bring to the table. Their take on burlesque, whether it's from a technical angle, the concept, the humor, their personality. So I'd love to learn a little more about your burlesque acts, and then we'll dive into the Show Me Your Kitties Cabaret. So as a performer, do you have a specific persona or style, or perhaps a signature act that really encompasses who you are as an artist?
So I personally, I love watching just the uber ultra glam, sultry, gorgeous, femme energy. But when I do that on stage, that doesn't feel authentic. You know what I mean? I feel very happy in sort of the cute, campy niche. And so that's once I stopped trying to be someone that didn't feel authentic on stage, I started feeling so much more comfortable. And I know that sounds weird, like being silly and goofy on stage would be more fun, or not more fun, but more comfortable than sultry siren. Um,
I get that. I think that's a really wise piece of information for people because yeah, sometimes I watch certain acts and I really love what they do, but that's just not authentic to me. I'm a little as well. We have our own what we take to it, and I love a campy, silly, goofy act. So I bet there's lots of people watching you being like, "Oh, that style really resonates."
It's one of my favorite acts. It's not has nothing to do with kitties, but it's kind of like a 1960s space bimbo with like a little laser gun and like the 1960s sci-fi music. It's so fun and just so silly. But it's still, I don't I still try to be, sensual and all of that, but it's just kind of more of a cheeky take on it than a, in your face, watch me be the sexiest sexer who's ever sexed.
I love a little mod number. I'm going to have to stalk you to find a clip of that one. And speaking to your cat-themed acts, and you can get into it however you want. You've been producing Show Me Your Kitties Cabaret to support the Little Lions Foundation. So I'd love to hear about the origin story, about that, about your mission and the types of acts in the show.
Yes. So, I'm going to try and condense this very long story into something that is interesting to listen to. But when I moved from LA to Long Beach, I didn't have any connections with any sort of animal rescues out here. I just had moved, we'd just gotten this house and things were chaotic. And within a couple of weeks of moving, there was a kitten stuck in a car outside of my house, like literally outside of my window. Like I could hear it from my living room. That's how I found this kitten. And the fire department wouldn't help me. Little did I know that firefighters don't actually rescue kittens. That is a myth.
Oh my gosh.
The first thing I did was call the fire department. They were like, no.
I would have called them too if I didn't know.
And then, so I called animal services. They also were like, well, is it in danger? Is it hurt? And I'm like, no, but it's stuck and someone's going to start this car. But again, they were like, well, not our problem. And I was on next door and just doing all these things and it was so unhelpful. But Little Lion Foundation, I reached out to them in like kind of a last ditch effort, like, please, I just want to know how to get this cat out of this car engine. It's been almost 48 hours at this point. Like, I need to save this kitten. And they helped me. They guided me. They told me exactly what to do. Apparently, if a cat is stuck in a car engine, you do not want to feed it. You want it to get as hungry as possible. So don't leave food out. That's how you end up getting it out, is you starve it and then it comes out because it's hungry. And so since that helped me, I've just been their biggest champion ever since. I started going to all of their fundraisers. They do a bunch of, very family friendly, typical, animal rescue type fundraisers. But they also do a drag bingo. And so the first time I went, it was sold out and it was very 21 plus, like the humor and everything. And so I was like, okay, if the cat rescue community is into this, kind of raunchy drag bingo fundraiser, I wonder how they'd feel about like a little showgirl action. And so I pitched the idea to their event manager, Michelle, who I work with all the time now. And she was like, let's do it. And that's how Show Me Your Kitties was born.
And when was that?
I want to say we started planning this early 2025. I might have been like even earlier than that, but it was like in the works for a while, just getting the talks. And I still had to ask like my showgirl friends, like, hey, is this something you'd be interested in? And so it took a long time to plan, and then we had difficulties with finding a venue, but I'm sure on the East Coast people are a lot more relaxed. But here, for some reason, as soon as you mention that there is, burlesque or anything as part of your show, venues suddenly are a lot less enthusiastic.
Oh, yeah, that can be a struggle. Yeah, I feel like it depends on the venue here. Oh, but that stinks. So there was some journey to find a venue. And then tell me about the venue that you're working with now, because I know you just had a show recently. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have a beautiful space in downtown Long Beach at a venue called At the Top. It's part of Shannon's on Pine, and it's just this gorgeous, the exterior is just this Art Deco masterpiece, and you have a great view of downtown Long Beach, but we close the curtains because daylight and showgirl makeup does not go well together.
It sounds beautiful. I really hope to make it out there. I've never been to Long Beach. Honestly, I would love to come to one of your shows. You mentioned your friends, and because I follow you, I see you have, it looks like you have tons of showgirl friends who have cat-themed acts, all different types of cat-themed acts. So can you tell us a little bit about the performers and the different types of acts in the show?
Of course. So that's also like when I was kind of planning this and pitching this to Little Lion Foundation, I'd noticed that, as showgirls, we all follow each other and we can see on our stories and, not to generalize, but a lot of us have kitties. We'll all post the same, like, oh, I'm trying to rhinestone, but these little paws are getting in the way, or, oh, I just put on my costume and it's covered in cat hair. Or a lot of performers have, cat-related names. Like two of our showgirls in the show, they're Scarlett Von Puss and Vivi Von Purr. It's just... And so that's
Perfect.
kind of... I started noodling on that as well. And Scarlett Von Puss is the first performer who I asked, very carefully, like, if there was a cat-themed burlesque show that was a fundraiser for Little Lion Foundation, would you be interested? And she, like, immediately was in. Like, she didn't even need to hear anything else than that. She was like, I'm in. I'm done. Let's do this.
That's wonderful. I love that you say this. It's going to be a good trailer for the podcast. Like, hey, I found out all my burlesque friends also love cats. Because that's what I find too. Like the more burlesque performers I meet. And you're right. There's so many cat-themed names. Cats getting in the way of our costuming or knocking the rhinestones. I saw your recent show. It looked like I was going through some photos and it looked like there was like an orange cat act and then there were 3 little kittens. So tell me about the show that just happened. What was your act and what were some of your favorite ones?
So my act that I did in this last show is my favorite one I've done so far for these shows. It's very silly. But so we have our stage kittens open the show. They'll do a little, it's not burlesque, it's more of just a classic, showgirl, chorus girl type number. Just so the audience knows, okay, these, beautiful kittens are going to be the ones picking up things, getting tips and all of that. And so in our production chat, the kittens had mentioned that all of them were going to be in black and white. And my costume was in black and white. And I'd been planning something kind of along the lines of a cat in heat who, like as a poster child for like, this is why you should get your cat fixed, but more of like a, I'm after all the tomcats type angle. But then once I realized that all of the stage kittens would also be in black and white, that's my litter. I am their mother.
It just happened. It was meant to be.
And so I, for the flow of show, I'll always have myself go first or go right after the stage kittens, just so, the show's open, I can just focus on producing from there on out. And also, a lot of people don't like going first. And so I'm like, we're just going to do this. So my act for this one was a cat that's a little like out on the town. I'm looking for, a date night. And then it just cuts to my kittens just attacking me, like, Mom, 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 Mom. And I'm just over it. I've had it. And so I go and I grab a cone. I'm like, let's fix me. Let's get this ear tipped. I'm done. And the act had this, 30-second long monologue of, your cat doesn't need to experience motherhood to lead a fulfilled life. It just goes into those benefits of spaying your cat, and it was fun. And then it just goes into just, oh, I'm happy, I'm stoked, I'm fixed, no more babies for me, I get to live my life.
I'm obsessed with that act. That is an amazing TNR or like PSA. And it goes without saying, but if you ever want to come to New York and be in Catbaret, I would always love to have you. That act would be, it's just like it has a good message for cat people. And yeah, I love that.
I love it too. I didn't necessarily want to do another PSA type act. The one I did for the previous show is I was a black cat, and the stereotypes of black cats, and they have the least adoption rates, they have the highest euthanasia rates, and I have two black kitties here at home, and so I was a black cat that got adopted in the last one, and just kind of brought awareness to, black cats don't get adopted as much, so give some black kitties some love. So I didn't mean to do another PSA type act back to back, but it just worked out that way.
And it sounds really funny too. And I'm like a child-free cat lady. So yeah. I just turned 40 and I've been thinking personally about like being child-free and having my life have meaning. I don't need to be a mother. I'm a cat mom. Your act really resonates with me from that perspective too. So I see the different angles and the humor there too.
Absolutely. Yeah, same here. I love my fur children, and we're gonna keep it at fur children.
Yeah. And before we get more into your fur children, because I can't wait to learn about them, and I saw a little black kitty on your lap, I know you're a costumer. I read a little bit more about you, and I know that you make your costumes. So can you tell me maybe about this recent costume or just your background in learning? Because a lot of performers make their own costumes, and I know our listeners would love to learn a little more about it.
So I am not only a cat lady, I'm also a big history nerd, and I got into sewing because I wanted to do historical costuming. So recreating costumes from, times, back from the Middle Ages all throughout like the 1930s. And I'm self-taught, and there are some really, great YouTube videos out there as resources, but I never took any sort of sewing classes. I just kind of learned by doing. And I think that goes for everything. It's like you learn best when you're messing something up. But so learning all of these techniques, like 18th century hand sewing techniques and Victorian closures and all of that, it really helps with the construction of show costumes, because what we see on stage, it has to have hidden fasteners, and this has to open up, and this has to be tear away. And so having that foundation of building these super structured garments is so helpful for creating stage costumes. And I think that there is a good amount of overlap. I have an 18th century burlesque costume, but I've seen a bunch of other performers that also dabble in that sort of niche costuming crossover to burlesque. So that really helped me personally.
And I have to say, your costumes are beautiful, stunning. And you even have, you also have gorgeous headpieces, those like vintage cat ears. I love that.
I always joke that if I didn't have bills to pay, I would just be a hat maker. That is my happy place, is just creating hats and headpieces. It's a zen place, but it's a hobby for now.
You mentioned, making a mistake is how you learn. Because, if you like sew a dart wrong or something, and you're like, okay, now I know what not to do. And then also earlier you mentioned about being a producer, because you're not only performing in the show, you're producing it. And that's a lot of responsibility. I know it's a lot of work. So tell me a little more about the producing aspect during the show. Do you also host, or do you hire a host? How does that work?
So I do not host. I'm pretty comfortable talking in front of people, but I think the host is one of the most important aspects of a show. And so having someone who's just upbeat and can really work the crowd, that's really important to me. So I do not host. We hire that out. But Getting submissions and then picking the lineup, I'm sure you can relate to this, is the best and the worst part of producing a show.
Yes.
It's it's over for this last show, we had over 50 submissions.
Wow, that's amusing. But I can see
Isn't
how
that?
you feel so bad. You want to hire everyone.
And so I'm like, let's just we'll make it a festival, 7 hour long show. We got this, you know? Because I don't, everyone is doing it for the kitties, and it's, a fundraiser, it's a charity show. And so having to decline acts for that, it's not the best feeling, but I'm a big girl and I have to put my show together. There are people who've submitted for, 2, 3 shows now, and it just hasn't quite been the right, like, we get a lot of just very basic act submissions, which are fine. It's a cat themed show. There's only so much cat themed creativity that's out there. But if, you get 4 submissions that are all, sexy black cat to Janet Jackson's Black Cat song, and then, you know what I mean?
I
We
completely
also,
know what you mean. Yeah.
we also get a lot of Cheshire Cat submissions. So just making sure that, the acts aren't too similar, and just having a good flow. Like at this last one, we had a whole section that was just jungle cats. We had a lion, we had a panther, we had a tiger, we had a leopard, and just having that flow and making sure that the show isn't just random cat, random cat, random cat, random cat, and having it be more cohesive. It's so fun putting it together, but at the same time, yeah, sending out those "it wasn't quite right this time" emails, it hurts my soul. It makes me want to huff a kitten. That's
I completely understand. And I love hearing what you're saying about how you curate the flow of the evening and how you mix it up. Like the jungle cats, that's fun. That's a different take on it. And so that makes a lot of sense. And that's a big role for folks listening. I call our listeners our kitty cats. So for our kitty cats listening right now and you're thinking of producing a show, this is some of what goes into it, and it can be really fun. But then you have to make those hard decisions. It's like 50 submissions. That's a great problem to have, but still it's not fun.
Since it is a longer show, because I try to get as much talent in there as possible, it's not just, so I'd say it's about 50% burlesque and then 50% cabaret. And so I like to have it be burlesque performer, cabaret, burlesque, cabaret, burlesque, cabaret. So it just keeps the variety up. And that makes it not trickier, but yeah, it's a big puzzle. I feel very like beautiful mind, just putting the pieces together, seeing like where does the comedian who does like animal sounds, where does he fit in? Where you know?
And then you're making your run of show and you're adding the tech cues and the files in order for the whoever's running your sound. And like that's a big part of producing too. That's a bit of a puzzle. If some performer needs to move around last minute, then you've got to rearrange things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about it's a charity show, a fundraiser. So it's so heartening to hear how many performers are wanting to be involved. And I know that you sell out. You've got a pretty big space. I know one show, from what I read, I think you funded the spay neuter clinic for a Little Lion Foundation. Am I remembering that correctly? Tell me about that.
Yes. So Little Lion Foundation, they have it's pretty unique to our area. I don't think any other rescue has this, but with rescue, the biggest barrier is always going to be cost. You'll always find volunteers out there that are willing to put in the work, but in the end, someone needs to, even if a vet volunteers their time, someone still has to pay for supplies, materials, everything that goes into that, the biodisposal. But so getting funds is the number one thing to help these rescues do what they do. And so Little Lion Foundation, they built their own spay and neuter clinic inside of their rescue. So there's no need for transport or pickup, and it just really eliminates that not middleman, but it just takes a step of the complications out of things. So the vet techs and the veterinarians will come on site, they'll do all of the spay and neuters on site. But that's what we were raising money for with the very first show, was to get the surgery equipment, get it up and running. It's a beautiful space. It's so cool. We're gonna fix all the cats in Long Beach. That's the goal.
That's a wonderful goal. And I know there's a cat overpopulation crisis here in New York,
Yeah.
on the West Coast, all over. But I love that you're focusing on Long Beach and you all are making a positive direct impact. I mean, this is going to make a huge impact and your show is a big part of it. That's really inspiring.
Thank you. I'm just so inspired by everyone who works together on this. And we've, I wish I had exact numbers, but between our shows, we've raised at least $15,000 for this. And this is another great part about the spay and neuter clinic. It's free for community cats. So if you wake up and you have, a kitty in your back alley or in your backyard, you can take that cat into Little Lion Foundation and get it fixed free of charge. It'll get spayed, neutered, tipped, vaccinated, and then released back out. Obviously we don't want any kitties outdoors, but that's not the reality. But by fixing these cats and making it easy for the community, because not everyone has, hundreds of dollars laying around. They might have the good intentions of wanting to fix these street cats, but I mean, my pets are expensive enough.
Yes, I think that's a wonderful resource for the Long Beach community. And we'll make sure to link Little Lion Foundation in the show notes so folks can check them out, donate, and also, if you're in the area, be able to get your pet spayed or neutered, or if you find a stray cat, you have a resource now. Hey, kitty cats. Quick pause for a Catbaret update. Our Meowloween variety show claws its way back to Caveat in New York City on Friday, October 31st. Expect comedy, music, and burlesque, plus an audience costume contest. It's the most spooktacular night of the year. In-person and live stream tickets are on sale right meow at catbaretshow.com. Snag yours before they ghost you.
Yeah, and we do another reason why I like to keep the cabaret a true cabaret with a variety is like it's my thing, but burlesque isn't everyone's thing. Like we're also doing a kitten yoga fundraiser with the same group of people on the 20th of this month, and then we're doing a pinup pageant in the fall. So we're doing all sorts of fun things that are show me your kitties adjacent. But if you're like going to a big event with people taking their clothes off, that's not my idea of a good time. But I still want to help and without just donating. 'Cause people like to get something in return for their donation. So
Yes, I've gone to like a cat yoga at cat cafe. That's so fun. And a pinup pageant. You're really creating like community and events for folks to be a part of that benefit the foundation. Yes, I agree. I love burlesque, and I've been hosting a cat-themed cabaret. It's definitely also a variety show, and it started with no burlesque because I discovered burlesque once I started producing it, but I try to space it out just like you do, where it's not back-to-back burlesque, and be mindful that I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. So it's really cool to hear how you've created some other events. And do you find a lot of like community with the audience members? Do you see returning folks that might come to more than one show?
absolutely. So whenever I can, I do try to volunteer at Little Lion Foundation events, and almost every single time someone will come up to me who is at this other fundraiser and say, "Oh my gosh, you do the kitty show. It was so fun." And so just hearing that from strangers is so rewarding. I mean, obviously, it's great hearing from other show folks because we know what goes into producing a show. And, that 5 minutes that you see on stage, you don't know that that performer, spent a whole month preparing for it. But hearing just people that are outside of that world, that they value it and that they're excited for it and that they can't wait to come to the next one, that's really cool. And that's a really, really great feeling.
I want all of the folks listening, if you are on the West Coast, if you're in the Long Beach area, you've got to follow Luna's Instagram because you'll have another show coming up early 2026, right?
Yes. And then I'm at Miss Luna Lovelee, and that's where I share, things like the kitten yoga that we'll be doing. The pinup pageant will be on the cabarets page. But yeah, we're just trying new things and fun things. And, some things might work better than others. And in the end, we're just all in it to save the kitties.
I love new cat friends, my cat lady friends or cat loving friends. So I have a feeling if I was living on the West Coast, I would want to come out and to all those events. It sounds really fun. And now that we've learned a bit about you and your art and your journey as a burlesque performer producer, I'd love to know more about you as a cat lady. Can you tell us about your cats? What are their names? How did they come into your life?
So I have 4 cats, and it's a lot of cats. And I foster sometimes too. So sometimes there'll be 6 felines running around here, which can be a little much, but I love having kitten energy in the home. My first cats, they're a brother-sister pair. They're black kitties that we got from Black Cat Holistic Rescue. They were abandoned in a park by some not-so-nice person, but they're safe now. But what's funny about that is when we went to get a cat, my husband was the one who found these kittens, and I was always saying, I want to adopt a grandpa cat. I just want one oldie who just sits on my lap and snoozes all day. And he's like, I kind of want a kitten. And so we compromised and got 2 kittens.
Well, that's good. They do well in pairs. We always say at my day job, I work at a kitten nursery. We always say kittens do well in pairs, but it is a lot from 0 to 2.
But they were pandemic kitties, so they were little therapists for us. And then after I moved to Long Beach, I went to my first cat con with my friend Kristen, who is our production coordinator for Show Me Your Kitties. And I told her before we went to our first cat con, I was like, no matter what we do, Kristen, do not let me leave with a cat. She's like, I got you, don't worry. So of course I left cat con with a kitten.
It's hard to walk through that area, right, and not adopt.
I was wearing, I'm sure you've seen it, just the fat orange cat with the cowboy hat. Like that graphic. I was wearing that as a t-shirt. So I was wearing a cowboy cat shirt, and Guillermo, the kitten I adopted, he looks like a cow. He's a cow cat. And so I was like, a cow cat for a cowgirl. I need to have him. And so he had just been adopted, or not adopted, rescued 2 days prior to CatCon. Like he was just swooped up off the streets. And so but he's my baby. He's the biggest cat out of the bunch, but he's just such a sweetie, and he's kind of my favorite because he's just so sweet.
Oh, and so that was, you said, the first, and for our listeners, CatCon is a big, that's a big cat convention on the West Coast in Pasadena, and I met Luna briefly in person there. That was my first time going. Was it still, now this year it was Pasadena Humane that had the cats up for adoption. Was it them as well?
It was, when I got Guillermo, it was Best Friends.
Nice.
Another amazing rescue who aren't just same as Pasadena Humane. They service all animals in the area. But they were great. The adoption fee was very, very, very reasonable. And I think at this past CatCon, the one that you were at, I think they had every single cat adopted, right?
I think you're right, and it was like over 200.
Yeah, it was like 210 because we were shopping and we kept hearing the gong going off. When a kitty gets adopted, there's a gong and the whole hall just starts clapping. It's amazing. But we just kept hearing the gong going off over and over and over again. So that was great.
Yeah, that was wonderful. And also Guillermo, that's a great cat name. I've never heard that for a cat before.
I was going through a what we do in the shadows phase. And I called the 2 black kitties my vampires because they're just kind of, they're my spooky cats. And so I brought Guillermo in as their familiar or. And it's so true because he's so nice and they're such jerks to him. And he's just this derpy, cute guy.
We all need one of those. I mean, he sounds like a gem. And your other vampires sound very cute too.
They are. They're sweet. They like each other. That's
good. That's something.
And then my 4th kitty, the one that I got out of the car engine, her name's Lucy. She's all white, and she was completely feral when I got her out of that car engine. And so, have you seen Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Yeah, it's been a while, but I've seen it.
So when Lucy dies and they bury her in her all white regalia, and she just comes out of the coffin just hissing, screaming. And so Lucy, the kitten, she's all white. So I was like, this is, and she was so hissy. I was like, you are Lucy. You are.
How old was she when you rescued her from the car engine?
She was barely on wet food. So she was like 4.5, maybe 5 weeks. She was tiny.
Well, that was a good age for you to get her. Like, even though, yeah, she could have used some socialization a
Yeah.
little earlier, it sounds like, but it would have been a lot worse if you didn't get her when you did.
Yeah, so she was. It's funny, the first videos I have of her playing is with a little toy. You know, when she finally started playing, is she would whop at the toy and then she'd immediately hiss at it, and then she'd go back to playing with it and then hiss at it again. So
How did she get along with your other cats? Because then you already had three. Like, how was that introduction like?
so I did with Guillermo when I brought him home, I did the whole Jackson Galaxy slow introduction. I followed everything to a T, and that went perfect. Everything was fine. The black cats, they loved him. Or well, they tolerated him, but they all got along. And so I had planned to do the exact same thing with Lucy. But Guillermo, he was obsessed with her. He would just like pause under the door trying to get to this like tiny little fluff kitten. Because he was a lot younger than the black cats, and so they just didn't want to play with him as much as he wanted to play. And so he just saw this kitten. He was just obsessed with her. And so on day 4 or 5, I was like, I know I shouldn't do this. I know I shouldn't do this. But I opened the door and I was like, okay. And it was love at first sight. It was like a cartoon. It was like he had hard eyes and she was a cartoon ham. It was
You're so lucky. Like, it was good that you opened the door because it's not like he wanted to go after her. He wanted to play with her and she was cool with it.
Yeah, and they have just been best friends, like BFFs ever since. Yeah, I'm so lucky.
That kind
Don't
of
be me.
worked out.
Listeners, do not follow the Jackson Galaxy slow introduction method. Please don't do what I did. But my gut just said that he just wanted a friend and she needed to socialize badly, so it
Yeah,
worked out.
it sounds like it totally worked out for the best. And for our listeners, that slow introduction is like, feeding them between a door. So they're in separate rooms and they get used to positive associations with scent or scent swapping with like a sock, rubbing a sock on one cat's cheek and letting the other smell it. But it just sounds like you could read their body language and they were BFFs.
Yeah, I followed my intuition, and I'm glad I did in that case.
Yeah.
But I would not risk that again. With my any foster kittens, they still get their 2-week quarantine, slow introduction.
So
We
good.
don't take no risks. But I love fostering, and I'm really lucky because all 4 of the grown cats, they like foster kittens. The boys will love to play with the kittens. The girls are more like, you're here, whatever.
I love hearing from fosters because, like, in New York City with my day job, I work at a kitten nursery and we deal with fosters. And I know we just have limited space here, right? But we always say, kittens can do well even in a bathroom or a small space. So I'm envious of folks who live in a little bit more a bigger space. So where do you keep your kittens for the first 2 weeks? And is it normally like a pair? And what age range do you foster typically?
Well, I try to get them as young as possible after they've been weaned because I have so much respect for bottle feeders. I don't have it in me to wake up every 3 hours at night to bottle feed kittens. I took a bottle feeding class and I'm a strong woman. I work out almost every day, and the amount of strength that these little kittens have trying to claw this bottle out of it was mind-blowing. It was very eye-opening. Bottle feeders, you guys are doing the Lord's work. I get them as young as I can once they can eat wet food.
That's
Um,
great.
and then, because I've noticed that my kitties at home, they will be a lot more likely to accept them the younger they are, versus if they're a little bit older, like 6, 7 weeks, that's when they get a little bit hissy, and just avoiding that is easier for everyone.
That's so smart. It sounds like you have a lot of experience. Uh, do you know how many kittens you foster? Do you like keep count or have pictures? It's okay if you don't know as well.
Oh no, I do. I've fostered 6 kittens total, and they've always been in pairs. And I love it. it's you know how we were saying we're child-free cat ladies? You get to be the cool aunt for kittens. And as soon as they're old enough to get into their, I call it the terrorist phase, when that's when they go to their forever home.
Yeah, when they get really crazy, they can go
Yeah.
get adopted and run, go up the
Once they can
curtains.
jump on things and yeah, climb up curtains, that's when they can go meet mom and dad. Or yeah. But fostering, they're so small that you can easily just keep them in a crate if space is an issue. But I try to let them free roam as much as possible, which my last two foster kittens, it's kind of why I'm taking a little bit of a break for a minute. If those would have been my first fosters, I don't know if I would foster anymore. They were not, they didn't know how to eat wet food. So every time after they ate, I had to give them full baths. And kittens eat so much, so it was just a lot of work. And they weren't litter box trained, so there was just so much poop everywhere.
Yeah, it's like people don't realize kittens are all different, and some kittens are really easy, no issues, not messy eaters, can use a litter box, and then
Yeah.
some need a lot of help. So it's good they weren't you were already such an experienced cat mom that you knew that these were special, and they ended up getting adopted.
Yes. The first four that I had fostered were perfect model kittens, so easy. And so that just kind of threw me a little bit of a curveball. So I'm just taking a little bit of a break, but I'm ready for some more foster kittens. I love having them around. And when you foster, it's literally saving lives because the more animals you take out of the rescue, the more they can bring into their facilities. It's really, especially when they're that small. I know I just said that these last ones were a lot of work, but it's really, especially if you already have animals, it's really not that much more work to open one more can of food or scoop one more litter box if you're already doing it. So it's so fun. I can't wait to get my next fosters.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And it's so rewarding too. I mean, you're right. You're making a direct positive impact because when you take kittens home to foster, the shelter can take in more. That's what we're always telling folks too. Even fostering just one time or trying it out, it makes a big difference. Is there anything else about your cats or fosters, any special rituals that you have that you would love to share about them?
Oh, special rituals. I mean, I will never ever tire of seeing kittens go ham over those lickable treats
Hmm.
and pushing the adult cats out of the way. Like when it's so funny seeing these little like not even a pound big fur balls being like, "Nope, 17-pound cat, get away. This is my treat." So I love giving them all lickables at the same time just to watch the show.
I guess when they just discover churu or whatever
Yeah.
lookable treat it is, they're like, this is the good stuff. It's like a
It's
big
yeah,
discovery.
we call it cat crack. It's
That's what I
so
was
funny.
thinking.
So funny. I love it. No, God, I'm gonna hang up after this and just go get more foster kittens. Like out the door, jacket on. I need more kittens.
And I hope all of our listeners are now convinced to either go to
Yeah.
Show Me Your Kitties Cabaret or go to kitten yoga or foster some kittens wherever you are. You can do it. A lot of folks are out there doing it, learning as they go. And if you have cats already, it's not that much extra work, like you said, to open another can of food, provide them a small amount of their own space. And now I'm thinking more about some tips for folks. Could you share a piece of advice for anyone listening about for cats? It could be for fellow burlesque performers who love cats or just fosters, whatever, tip you want to leave us with.
I think there is a lot to be, not just in the sense of like cats and show me your kitties, but with anything, if you have a passion that you really want to go to bat for, chances are that there are so many people in your community, in your circle, or maybe they haven't joined your circle yet, that are on the exact same page as you, and that all it takes is just taking that first step. Maybe you're interested in producing a show. Maybe you're interested in fostering kittens or starting your own independent rescue. So I really encourage everyone to just take that first step, like none of us really know what we're doing. We're all learning as we're going. And the chances that there's someone out there that feels as strongly as you do. I mean, I think it's mind-blowing that we're on separate coasts and both have a cat burlesque cabaret show. That's so wild. And I'm sure no matter, where anyone's listening from, there's going to be people in your circle that want to, and it doesn't have to be rescue, it doesn't have to be cats. We had someone reach out to Little Lion Foundation, a dog rescue here in Los Angeles that had recently lost their funding, and so they were asking us for some, tips because they're trying to think of, unconventional ways to help out their rescue. So asking for help.
I think that's a fantastic tip. I love this podcast because, of course, I love cats and I love creatives and burlesque, but it's even more, I just love hearing other folks' journey and overcoming challenges or how they're learning and following their passions. And I think that was a really amazing tip for folks. And I completely agree. Sometimes just sharing your idea or your interest can spark a community with others. And it sounds like you have as well, like a team with your show, and you have friends aligned with that purpose. So I think that's what it's all about. Do you have a date set for your next show? And if not, we'll just share and stay tuned to the Instagram.
Not yet. So it's going to be before kitten season. Just, I mean, on the West Coast, in this climate at least, we don't really have a traditional kitten season because it's warm year round, and so there's kittens all the time, but it does get the heaviest in the spring. So we have our next fundraiser in the spring, but we're actually looking at potentially moving venues to see if we can find a bigger space since all of our shows have sold out, and so that means that we could potentially help more kitties since the entire ticket purchase goes towards the rescue. That's not, so that's all. It's basically you make a donation and you get a show as a thank you. So yeah, kitten season, we'll be shaking and shimmying and saving kitties again.
Can't wait. Okay, well, thank you so much, Luna Lovelee, for joining me today. It was positively delightful to learn about your journey, and I'm excited to stay connected.
Thank you. Well, it's been amusing being here. I love following what you guys do. I'm so excited to see footage from Meowoween. I mean, that is genius.
Thank you. Yes, I can't wait. And that's a wrap for this episode of Tails and Tassels. So if you have any questions, comments, or just want to say meow, feel free to send us an email at tailsandtasselspod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Also, join our community on Instagram at Tails and Tassels Pod for more updates and behind-the-scenes fun. See you next time, kitty cats.